I am just starting to sell one of my properties. So what you need to do is when agents are giving you prices of property they think they can sell it for, ask them, and the second agent said, yeah, that's first agent, doesn't know what they're talking about, it's not worth 350. Now they might extend the contract, but you want to make sure you get your money back really, really quickly. Is your money working as hard as it could? Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Property Magic Podcast, in which I'm going to talk about the topic, should you sell property? Now, the reason I'm talking about this is I am just starting to sell one of my properties, and generally I don't like selling property. There are a few reasons why I might sell, and they are as follows. If maybe something's happened to the local demand in the area and it's really hard to rent that property out, or if there's a lot of equity trapped in a property that maybe is not actually giving a great return, I could sell the property, pay the tax, and invest that money elsewhere to get a better return, which is actually the reason why I'm selling this particular property. This was one that I bought a long time ago with a joint venture partner. It's in a small village quite close to Derby, so not close to me, and the joint venture partner basically looks after the property for us. He looks after the management of it, maintenance, etc. And so anyway, this property had been rented for a while, had a long-term tenant, and they moved out. And as often the case, when a tenant who's been there a long time moves out, you need a bit of a full refurb. But we hadn't done much to the property for a number of years, apart from simple decorating. Now, actually, we have done a full refurbishment on this property, brand new kitchen, brand new bathrooms, new carpets, new plastering, new electrics, a new boiler, pretty much refitted the whole house. And we thought we'd do this because actually we want to sell the property and maximize the revenue from the sale, and then take the money out and use it elsewhere. We can get a much better return. Obviously, it's not a good time to be selling property. It is a buyer's market. That means there are more people looking to sell than there are buyers. So first we have to make sure your property is in the best possible condition. That's why we've just done a full refurb. It is perfect for someone to move into. They will not have to do any work at all. The second thing is you need to find a good estate agent. I'm going to spend a bit of time talking about how you find good agents, because this is important and you can make a huge mistake if you go with the wrong agent. So first of all, I want an agent who's very proactive. When you call an agent, if they take a long time to come back to you, that's not a good sign, because they might take a long time to get back to people who are interested in buying that property. So responsive is the first thing. So what I did was I got a few recommendations, I spoke to a few people, and the first person who responded, I had a conversation with her, and I quite liked what she said and the kind of information she was giving me. Now, one thing you need to be very careful of, many estate agents, when you ask them, how much could you sell this property for, they will often overinflate how much they think they can sell it for, because they hope you'll give the listing to them so they can sell it, expecting to get this high price, and they then just bring the price down fairly soon afterwards. So what you need to do is when agents are giving you prices of property they think they can sell it for, ask them, can you give me some like comparisons? Ideally some other properties you have sold recently. So when I did my research, there was one agent we spoke to, and they said this property, which is a semi-detached property, completely refurbed, they said it'll be worth about £200,000. Now this is a 4-bedroom, 2-reception room, so I think it's probably worth a bit more than that. And obviously owners of property, we always think our property is worth more than it actually is. So when I spoke to a second agent, and the second agent said to me, well, it's definitely worth more than 200,000, because I've got one property on that exact road. It's only a 3-bedroom property. It's on for 200,000, and I've got 3 families fighting over the property at the moment. So if you've got all these extra bedrooms and extra space and it's just been refitted, I think it should be worth a lot more. Now, the agent said there was a detached property around the corner. There was about the same number of bedrooms, but obviously detached with a garage, and that was on the market for 350,000. We both agreed it's not worth as much as that, but it's probably more like 275,000. We should put it on for that amount. And I said, actually, I'd be really happy to accept 260 for the property. So the first agent saying 199, The second agent 275, and probably that's a realistic figure, £75,000 difference between agents. So you've got to do your research. Be conscious that agents might be inflating it. I've got another example of this. I had one of my best deals ever was a property I bought in London. I don't really invest in London. This lead came from someone else to me. It was a motivated seller. I managed to buy it at a 27% discount in London. It's worth 225. We bought it for 162. I say we because I did it with a JV partner. At the time, all my money was tied up, so we put it in this other person's name. They put all the cash in. And 2 years later, we were thinking about refinancing. So we wondered just how much was it worth? And we spoke to a local agent, and we were shocked. This other agent said, actually, it was worth £350,000. We bought it for 162 just 2 years before. There's no way it's worth £350. As I said earlier, I thought the agent was just inflating the price in order to get the business. So I called another second agent and said, look, we're looking to buy this property. We've heard from an agent it's worth $350. We don't think that's right. How much do you think it's worth? And the second agent said, yeah, that's first agent, doesn't know what they're talking about. It's not worth $350. It's worth 400,000. I almost fell off my chair. I said, you've got to be joking, 400,000. I said, prove it to me. And the second agent gave me some light comparisons of properties they'd just sold, literally within a month at that price. The agent said, if you put it on for 410, expecting to negotiate a bit, I will get 400 for you. So he said, okay, we'll do that. They had a sale agreed within 3 weeks. So the first agent saying 350, second agent 400, £50,000 different. If we'd just gone with that first agent, which we thought was a great price, we would have lost £50,000 of profit. So it's so important to make sure you have an agent who's got their finger on the pulse, who actually knows what they're doing. And some agents will price it nice and low because they know they'll easily sell it at that price. They're being a little bit lazy. And some agents will artificially inflate the price because they want to get the listing from you, and then they'll just bring the price down. So there's a little bit of a balance here, but it's so important to make sure you find the right agent. So fingers crossed, we'll see what happens. We're just getting it clean, getting the EPC sorted out. It will be on the market very, very soon, and I'll update you to let you know how we did on the sale of that property. Now I'm going to use the funds from that to invest to get a much better return elsewhere. And it's something I suggest you do. You see, what happens is most people, they buy property, they look at the numbers when they first buy the property. They work out what's the return on investment. How much money is this property making me on an annual basis compared to how much money I have to put in to actually acquire the property in the first place. That's how we work out ROI. Annual profit divided by initial investment, and then we multiply that by 100 to give a percentage. And generally, the higher the percentage, the better the deal. So a normal single let might be only 5 to 7% around the country. In London, it might be 2 or 3%. Some places up north, you might just about get a double-digit single let yield, might be about 10%, which is really, really good for single let. If you do something like an HMO, which is one of my favorite strategies, you should be getting 15 to 20% plus, depending if you're managing yourself or having someone else manage for you. If you do a purchase lease option, you should be getting at least 50% ROI. And if you do a rent-to-rent deal, I think you should aim for at least 100% ROI, where any money you put in, you get it back within that first year, because with a rent-to-rent, you're obviously giving the property back to the owner in 3 to 5 years. Now, they might extend the contract, but you want to make sure you get your money back really, really quickly. So understanding ROI is really important. However, if you are using momentum investing, or the BRRR strategy, where you buy at a discount, you add value through refurbishment, you then refinance based on a higher value, and then you rent and repeat. If you're getting all of your money out, it changes the ROI. Now, because you're increasing the mortgage, you're paying more each month, you're going to make less cash flow, so that reduces the annual profit on the top of that equation. But also, the bottom of the equation, you're not leaving all that money in. You're getting some or all of that money back. And if you get all of your money back, it's then an infinite return on investment. So I've had properties in the past where I've recycled all the money, it's been a no money in deal, and to me it's an infinite return, the rental I'm getting. But that property has then gone up in value over time. And what you then need to look at is, what is the opportunity cost of the money tied up in that property? It might be an infinite return because you're making cash flow, got no money invested, but really you need to look on what I call the return on equity. So if you sold that property, you'd have to clear your mortgage, you'd have to pay any capital gains tax if it's not your own home, and you'll have a certain lump of money left over after tax. What you should look at is what's the profit I make each year divided by the money that I would make if I sold the property after tax, and that's your return on equity. It's how much are you making on the money that's left in that deal. Now, if it's only a small percentage because you've got a low cash flow because you've refinanced and taken money out over time, you've got no money left in, but only a small cash flow means actually it might be better to sell that property, use the money in a new property where you're going to get a much higher ROI. And that's exactly the case with this property I'm selling. The money tied up there is too great to just leave it there. I can't really use it as an HMO. I can't really increase the rent that much. So actually it's better for me to sell it, pay the tax, and then reinvest the money. And that's what you should do, guys. You should look at your portfolio every year to assess all of your investments. Is your money working as hard as it could? Not just the initial money you put in, but the equity that grows over time as the value of property goes up. You should be looking at your portfolio, tweaking, adjusting it to maximize your return, maximize your cash flow every single year. I do hope this episode has been useful for you. If you've liked the video, please like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and hit the bell icon to make sure you're notified anytime a new video comes out. This podcast video comes out every single Tuesday. Until next time, I encourage you to invest with knowledge, invest with skill.